annual Back of the Rack Awards. As you know, we've played 7 games this year. 7 BOTR games. Games that we've long neglected and not respected, that fall in between the greatest and the worst. To celebrate, we've prepared 6 categories to which we will each select one of the 7 titles that we both played this year. We'll both give a brief reason for why we've selected the title for any given category. At the end, we will reveal the back of the rack of the we will reveal the back of the rack of the game of the year. Wait, hold on, what is this?
Bro, we wrote this quick. Bro.
At the end, we will reveal the back of the rack of the year.
At the end, we will reveal the back of the rack game. That's too much. Did we switch it to back? It was back of the rack game of the year. Then we switched it to back of the rack of the year. But that's still back of the rack of the back of the back.
It's basically the top back of the rack game. You know, there's also the Viewer's Choice Award, which is obviously, you know, our community gets to choose what they think is the back of the rack of the game of the year. This doesn't get any easier, unfortunately.
Yes.
But also, our viewers also get to pick in each category as well. So it'll be my pick, Sondi's pick, and then our viewers. So
yeah. So if you want to have your voices heard, if you want to, you know, skew some elections, join our Discord for next year so you can vote for your favorite game to win back of the rack or ban from the rack.
Get out there and vote.
What did
right.
I can't say Diddy no more. I gotta say Pharrell when he had the vote or die shirts. That's what you gotta do for back of the rack. Vote or die.
Vote or die.
Discord.
So important. All right, let's start things off with a little announcement that we have. Me and Sondi, lovers of music. Sondi was a DJ and a rapper, still is. He's got bars. I mainly producer. Well, Sondi was also a producer as well. I used to make music, so Sondi was all over the musical scene. I mainly only did producing. So we're both very musically attuned. We love video game music, and so we thought that maybe it would be a good idea to start the BOTR radio channel.
Bam, 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 bam. World premiere. Cue the video. Jeff.
Under the world premiere. Sondi, I feel like this was mainly, I don't want to say mainly your idea, but you definitely spearheaded it, and that you've been working on a lot of the mixes because it's what you love to do. So give us a little bit of background on why, on this whole thing, and what it'll look like in the future.
Man, listen, okay. We all do it. We all listen to video game music in the background. We all listen to some chill Nujabes / lo-fi chill music to study to or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's listening to some Dilla. You've heard it in our videos, well, especially like Sondi selects like the beat selection that I've chosen. I've kind of hinted at it throughout the entire like season of Back of the Rack. I've chosen songs that I've been putting in mixes and stuff like that. I've put in those as like a teaser. And if you're in the Discord, you know this is the best kept secret ever. I've been announced this. There's like a hey, back radio's coming. But I don't know. I just like the idea of having curated playlists for video game music. You know, you've probably seen it yourself on YouTube. There's other people that do it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like it's nice to have Back of the Rack music, because sometimes I click these playlists, and that's where it is. Sometimes I click these playlists, and I'm like, I don't fuck with this Mario song. This isn't funky. You don't know what the funk is. I need some music that can bump in the whip. So that's why, starting today, while you're watching this, you can listen to the first mix, BGM You Can Bump in the Whip. It's a playlist I made way back on I think it's still on the channel. But I just literally just copied like the first 20 songs and I was like, here's a playlist. I'm going to make sure you listen to this. So yeah, that's the whole plan. We're going to have composers. I'm going to actually mix some mixes. There's playlists. I got a bunch, so you're going to see them. We also have re-uploading our remixes on there.
Yeah.
Probably if we feel like it, we'll have some remixes of other songs that we play or any other OSTs that we find that we like. We'll maybe have a remix up there. So, you know, maybe we'll have some viewers' choice. You know, have some.
It's going to be curated, obviously, by me and Sondi, and I think that's what'll make it a little bit different. I like the more orchestral, classical side of the video game music, as well as like, you know, the funky, you know, jungle type shit. But the idea of BOTR Radio is that it's gonna have a real mix of video game music, and we're gonna be creating these highlights of, well, at least I think Sondi will be more in charge of doing the mixes, and I'll probably do like composer highlights, whether it's, you know, like one of my favorites is Masashi Hamazu, but you know, there might be like a Yoko Shimomura one, or there might be you know, Nobuo Uematsu, and you know, I'll just make
Nakamura, anybody.
Yeah, basically anybody that I feel like I want to do that for. So it won't be everybody, but you know, so it'll be curated. But I hope that you guys will like it, and I hope you guys like the first mix. And yeah, so that's the announcement. And it'll be once a month as well, right? We didn't want.
Yeah, I think that's the cadence we're going for. So it'll be like BOTR. So you get a BOTR episode, then you get a mix that you can vibe out to. Maybe some hints at some future games that we'll be playing and stuff like that. So
yeah, maybe even like 2 a month, but yeah, we'll see how things shake out. Obviously, we also want to announce that for season 5, we decided to ramp up production, and we're going to be doing.
We're going monthly.
Yeah, well, we were already monthly. We're doing
no breaks.
10 games. I thought we were doing 10 games and leaving 1 month for the BOTR Awards, and then 1 month to like,
and then 1 month for a breather. Yeah, 1 month like a summer breather,
yeah.
and then you're right,
And then,
because life, you know, that's that's why we were doing like 6 and like extra 7 for Halloween and stuff like that, because it's like, you know, Christmas going into the new year, people do stuff, people go on vacation, so it gives us time to, you know, live life a little bit. But you know, that algorithm, don't give a fuck if you living a life. So
yeah, no, it doesn't. But we're excited to do it, because also I think it'll rejuvenate us a little bit as we get to play a wider range of games, and it'll just be more consistent for us. Because I think towards the end, there's always a sort of like, you know, like we're rushing towards the end. But I think if we basically make this like a yearly thing, like this is just, you know, the life, you know, because I think, well, you guys know, we would basically play 6 main games. So we would only be doing content for half of the year, technically. And then the rest of the year, we just wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know,
for like 5 months, we would just be chilling, like from like September to now or some shit like that. We'd be.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm excited for this. And we have a crazy lineup of games.
I'm so excited for you guys to get to the end of this award show. But you have to tune into the whole award show. Don't skip to the end. I know you.
Don't you fucking skip.
Yeah, I'm talking to you especially. Yes, you. Yeah, I'm looking right at you. Come back. Don't skip ahead.
Don't you fucking dare skip. I worked so hard on this whole production. And if you just skip, like, we're not even going to fucking do the chapters on it. Because I don't want people skipping, like, you're not going to have the...
You're not going to death battle me just so you can spoil in the comments and be like, oh, Bowser versus Eggman next. Like, no, fuck you. You're going to watch the whole thing, and then you're going to figure out what's going on next.
Yeah, and you're going to yell at the screen because you don't agree with my pick for best story. You know, you're going to argue with me because you thought best soundtrack belonged to, you know.
Exactly.
So-and-so. So
just like watching the real Game Awards, the best world premiere is at the end.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. So let's get started with, why don't we introduce the 7 games that we played this year. So best story. This is the category with a criteria of good character writing, great pacing, overall plot, writing, all that stuff. So, Sandy, do you want to go first or do you want me to go?
Um. Well, yeah, you can go first.
Okay. Uh, I think the best story was Dragon's Dogma. And I feel like that might be a bit controversial because of how light it feels for a lot of people, or maybe how integrated the fetch quests are, and it's not as cohesive,
It's
you
not
know.
very
But
handheld.
exactly, right. But I think if you watched our episode, I was very, very hot on just the entire premise, the idea, the way that the story was woven into the world, and how it made you feel. If you like really engage with it, you really get a lot out of it.
Yes.
And I thought that it might not have been a very like linear story, but I think all the stories that are in there and connect, and how they sort of resolve in the end was just brilliant. So, and that's like brilliant even for Boater. Like I'm saying, like
Yes.
there was like just fucking
Yes.
some of the
I
best stuff out
I
there.
agree because this is my second playthrough. I played it during release, and because Dragon's Dogma, I'm gonna admit, was my honorable mention and was very close to taking the spot. But I'll have this weird rule of like only one game could win Woodle. So, but Dragon's Dogma, I played it, and as a kid, I think I just killed myself with the knife after I beat the dragon, and I was like, "This is weird." Anyway, I guess this is the post game. Whatever. Didn't
Yeah.
realize that that was like the third act of the game. So playing through the game now and like actually understanding, being a little bit older, so I can understand the themes and like what they were trying to
Hmm.
say about the cycle and stuff like that. The story was really gripping and like really engaging. Like I was really like diving deep into the lore, trying to find like books or something. Like I wish that Dragon's Dogma did have like lore books or something in the world for you to like truly immerse yourself in the entire ethos of Dragon's Dogma and like previous people. But I that's the point, is that these
Yeah.
other people that are playing the game are the other Arisen, are going through the same
Hmm.
thing, are going through the different cycles, and that's just cool as hell. I like that the game had an excuse for you as a player playing through the game, even on second playthroughs, third playthroughs, and whatnot. That's incredibly cool.
Yeah. It was great. So your runner up was Dragon's Dogma. Then what's your actual pick?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to agree with the viewers on this one. Alpha Protocol. Man, that's the only redeeming quality of that game, so I have to give it to it. Alpha Protocol's story was,
Oh,
y'all know me. When I hop into these Baccalaureate games, I could give less of a shit about the story. Story for me isn't like a defining factor when it comes to video games. It's most of the time presentation and gameplay that
yeah.
are the biggest things that drive me to continue a game. A story could be trash, and I'll be like, but it was fine, and
Hmm.
I'll accept it. And Alpha Protocol broke that mold. Alpha Protocol, I came into this podcast wanting to talk about only the story. That's how good the story was. I wanted to see all the different plot points. I wanted to see where it goes. And honestly, still to this day, I want to replay the game just to play because we fucked up. I realized this as I look back at my footage when we were doing the episode. We should have chose the recruit so that when our second playthrough, we can choose the veteran and have the different. Damn. So now I got to play through the game
Yeah.
two more times, and I got to make
Yeah.
sure. What's her name? The assassin girl is. I actually got to realize that she's an assassin in this episode. This next time, so
Yeah.
I really love that. Honestly, if the gameplay was a little bit better, I feel like a lot of people would say this is one of the best. Let me stop myself before I say something
It
wild.
would have it would have taken Boater of the year, I would say, if it weren't
Yes.
for the other unpolished elements that were pretty painful or not fully fleshed out. But yeah, Alpha Protocol, I would say, was probably a runner up too. I mean, there wasn't that much competition in terms of story, for this
Yeah.
season because it was basically,
We didn't really play a lot of
you
story
know,
based games.
Yeah, Dissidia, Blood Rain, Dragon Quarter, Death by Degrees, Dark
Dark Sector.
Sector.
Yeah, Dark Sector story is only cool in the context of how does this fit into Warframe.
Yeah,
Like that's the only way
exactly.
it's cool. Um, yeah.
All right. Oh well, what did the viewers' choice?
Oh yeah, the viewers
What did they
chose Alpha
pick?
Protocol as well. With an overwhelming, commanding, unanimous vote, Alpha Protocol
Yeah.
won that.
Yeah. See, I'm convinced they didn't play Dragon's Dogma.
Hey. Y'all not real doggers.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not real Dragon's Doggers. All right. The next category is best gameplay, which is the criteria for this is feels good to play. And I think a lot of us already know intuitively what that is, as well as responsiveness, addicting, and awarding. Rewarding. And my pick is.
It's everybody's pick. So
I feel like a stan on this, but Dragon's Dogma had the best gameplay overall, and Capcom really put their money where their mouth is when it came to the gameplay.
Hey, this and Shadow of Colossus, the only two games you can climb on people.
Yeah,
All I'm saying, they're both fire,
and it like works. Yeah. So
all I'm saying.
I really don't even have to say more about why I chose it. I think everybody. I mean, do you have anything to say about what? Yeah.
Yeah. Dragon's Dogma gameplay is so good that like I play the Magic Archer or whatever my first playthrough, and it was so good. I played the Magic Knight that when I played Dragon's Dogma 2, I was kind of sad that the Magic Knight wasn't there. I was kind of sick that there was the dual blade guy or whatever. I forgot what it's called. I gotta agree with you on that one. Dragon's Dogma is an amazing game in terms of gameplay, in terms of all the features that you're able to do, picking up people and throwing them off cliffs. Like you're not gonna get that in any other game.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the viewers, of course, chose
Dragon's Dogma
as well. So it really was a sweep for this category. Unfairly so. I'm trying to think of last year. What was it unanimous with best gameplay last year?
Let's find out. Let's see.
Well, while you look that up, we'll move into best presentation. So best presentation, the only criteria for this is that it has a really great art style. So great just art direction overall, character designs, environmental design, all that kind of stuff. So, Sondi, why don't you go ahead first and give us what your pick for best presentation is?
Best presentation is going to have to go to Dragon Quarter.
All right, tell us why.
Dragon Quarter just is so cool, man. Like, just the aesthetic is so cool. Like, the way that the characters look, the cel shadedness to them, the way that the UI looks. I even like the fact that, like, oh, man, I'm just having chills just thinking about it. But just the way that Ryu just goes, ha! Ha! After every attack, it's just something cathartic about, like, once you get into the groove of Dragon Quarter and the industrialized fantasy world that it encompasses, it's just really cool. And the music was really compelling too for the environment that it was giving. I had an honorable mention of Death by Degrees, which I was honestly going to put over Dragon Quarter for this situation, because Death by Degrees low-key had some swag to it. The puzzles were like really cool. The pause menu was annoying, but it was really cool. Combat and having like the X-ray moves and stuff like that. I'm switching my pick. I'm sorry. I was going to Death by Degrees.
What?
I'm switching it.
Crazy.
I'm switching it. I'm
Folks,
making it
this is
audible.
unprecedented.
I'm making it audible. Death by Degrees. It's cool, man. I'm sorry. It was just cool as
Sondi
shit.
has changed his pick mid video.
Bro, the cameras were cool. Then you had the option to choose between not having a fixed camera and the camera. Like,
to be fair, you did have a good point about Dragon Quarter having a great style, because I also agree. Like, when I think back on it, I think I really liked the character designs. The world itself, I wasn't too into, but I liked the style of things. The art direction overall was great, even if it takes place in a fucking mine the whole game.
yeah, Goro Lagan episode 1, the entire game.
Yeah, the entire game, and that's unfortunate because it does have cool visual elements to it. I mean, the characters do pop against the brown of the mines and the tunnels that you're in. But yeah, so like I could absolutely see why you would pick Dragon Quarter. Death by Degrees
But Death by
has
Degrees,
its
though.
no. Well, I'm saying that Death by Degrees has its ups and downs as well, because that back half when you're in the prison,
Yes.
and
it's very dry.
like it gets it's like what's going on here,
Then it repeats the cruise the ship again. But I mean,
the ship is cool. It's like, and I think we mentioned this in the podcast, that it's a lot like the Resident Evil mansion. It's like a character. It's like there's
Right.
all these special places and hidden passageways. So it was pretty solid level design, especially because they got 2 levels use
out of it. Right. Yeah, I was just thinking even like the puzzles with like Death by Degrees, like they have very cool style. The fact that you could use guns and like switch real fast, the way
Right.
like even the presentation of doing your attacks and killing the enemies and stuff like that, I thought was really, really cool compared to. Okay, I'm trying to have this argument between Dragon Quarter and Death by Degrees right now, but because yes, Dragon Quarter is very stylized, and that's why it was so easy to pick it, because out of all of the games, Dragon Quarter looked the coolest. Like, it looked the most interesting. Like, when you look at the box art, you look at the concept art, you look at everything surrounding that game, and it just looks good. Like, it's timeless. You know what I mean? Death by Degrees isn't very timeless, but I do the water check. I think that's what it is. They both pass the water check. There's a spot in Dragon Quarter where there's a like reflective water pool, and it's amazing, especially for the time. And then Death by Degrees also has a water pool that looks amazing. That very first one, when you fight that first boss, like that pool looked great. So it's like they both passed the water test, man. I don't know what to tell you. They both look good.
I have for best presentation Dragon Quarter. With Death by Degrees as a close second, because I really did like the style of Dragon Quarter. I like the proportions of the characters. It was very similar to another favorite of mine, which is Musashi Samurai Legend.
Shout out BOTR of the year last year.
Yeah, which is a very heavy outline, cell shaded look to it. I think Musashi does more with it than Dragon Quarter, but it's a weakness of mine. I do like that style. It's
Yes.
not, you don't see it enough. I think our viewers, you guys, your choice was Dissidia. And
That's very
I can
valid.
see that.
That's very valid.
I can see that, but I can only see it from a character design point of view.
Yes.
I wasn't fucking with any of those maps.
Any of the
UI
moves.
was pretty it's just
the
menus
basic
from
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So I'm just like, but I'm a huge fan of PSP graphics, so I loved those character models. I love the way they were realized. So I could see it. So, you guys are...
You're not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't want to invalidate you guys, but,
You're not wrong. We're just contrarians when it comes to it.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't be doing an event like this. We shouldn't be doing award shows.
Here's the thing. Speaking of last year, Musashi's shout out BOTR of the year last year, Musashi Samurai Legends. That was your childhood pull out of my heart game.
It was.
And
that was, yeah.
Dragon Quarter was that for me this season. So there's a fondness of like the aesthetic of that because for years I have. What the fuck was that?
Tying
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So like there's a
it.
fondness and a nostalgia for those graphics because that I've been looking at those graphics since I was like 13. Like I want to play this game. I want to play this game. Oh, I'm finally playing this game. Oh, I didn't beat this game. Oh, I got this game. Like this is like speaking of backlogs in the fucking video I made. This is the reason for it. It's because of this fucking game. I bought this game when I first started my collection. I just beat it.
Right.
Like, but it's been staring at me, and I've gotten this like weird obsessive fondness for the aesthetic, which is really good.
Right.
But low-key, I can agree with the viewers on this one about Dissidia.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it is the prettiest one out of them all.
Yeah.
The
I think that
cutscenes.
Dissidia, like they all see, that's the, I guess, kind of fun thing to argue, you know, with all these games is because they all sort of have something they excel at, but just they don't like completely cover the entire spectrum of like what makes it special. So it's like,
Right.
you know, like Death by Degrees is really good with a specific type of style, but like it gets boring, you know, in the half or in the back half. And then Dragon Quarter is cool with like the character designs and just the overall world design, but because you don't go anywhere with it, you're only in tunnels and labs and stuff, it just looks a little bland, you know. And then Dissidia has great character models, but like they're used on like the most like on like gray box fucking levels, like
Yeah.
like they just feel so empty, you know, which makes sense because it's a fighting game and the type of fighting game it is. But so yeah, there's pros and cons for all of them, but I think ultimately Dragon Quarter is the winner.
Yes.
Sorry guys. Moving on to best soundtrack, best OST, best VGM. The criteria for this is can you bump it in the whip? Now, I'll go first on this one. I chose Dragon's Dogma. But I do want to say that I had difficulty with this one for sure. Because I mean, Dissidia has a lot of good music, but it's from other.
See, and that's what I was. That's why I was kind of mad, like choosing it, because I was like, that's kind of cheating. Because
yeah, it's like you have
not
like
Dissidia's music. It's Final Fantasy VI's music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was like, that just doesn't feel right to pick that. It's obvious that it's good because it has music from like 12 games.
It shows the greatest fucking hits of 12 games. Of course, it's the best.
Yeah, and I don't think any of you niggas out there thought about that when you chose the city.
Yeah, Smash Brothers got the best OST, bro. Of course, nigga. It chose every best song from every game. What do you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I chose Dragon's Dogma. It's an album that I listen to periodically. There are some really great pieces in that. I won't say that the whole thing front to back is great. Like it's not like there's banger after banger, but there are some extraordinary tracks for almost everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And there's like orchestral pieces, there's more mysterious ethereal pieces, there's a pretty wide range of I guess of music and of sound. And that's why I chose it. Competition wise, I mean,
I can't even remember Dark Sector or Alpha Protocol. We can't use Alpha Protocol because it uses licensed music, so you're out of the running. You're cheating too.
Yeah, that was exactly. And then
I had an honorable mention for.
No. Blood Rain.
Now that should not be named.
Yeah.
I had Dragon Quarter as an honorable mention. Like Dragon Quarter it did have some pieces that I felt were really good. And it's funny because speaking of that, the origin of us choosing Dragon Quarter was because it was between that and Eternal Sonata, and Eternal Sonata won based on the music. So, yeah. Did Eternal Sonata win last year for best music?
I don't. For being the game about music, I don't think it won. Musashi won.
Yeah, I think Musashi Parasite.
That makes sense.
Oof. Anyway.
Wait, was last year No More Heroes?
Yeah.
Or was that
that was a No More Heroes suite.
Musashi got robbed in every category by No More Heroes.
Except BOTR of the Year. But if we ever play No More Heroes 2, will you guys keep that same energy?
Maybe. If we ever play it.
Yeah.
That's a big if.
That's a big if.
All right. So, wait, did you already say your...
Yeah, I said Dissidia as well.
Okay. And the viewer's choice, Dissidia. Next category is Banned from the Rack. This is the worst of the worst. Unbearable experience, hard to finish, clunky controls, just a game that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. Or maybe you would if you're a sadistic piece of shit.
And it's not even that. It's really just out of these 7.
Right.
This was the worst
out
one.
Of these 7. Exactly. Yeah. My... so it looks like there's a sort of tie between me and Sondi. We both chose Blood Rain.
Yes.
Sondi, do you want to talk about why you chose Blood Rain as the worst of the worst?
Because I had to cheat to beat the game, bro. There literally wasn't enough ammo to beat the final boss, and he kept getting bigger, and his hitbox kept getting smaller, and that was the worst final boss I've ever fought in a video game, bar none. Like, it wasn't even fun. It wasn't even hard. It was just annoying because I don't have the resources. But that could be prescribed to the entire game of Blood Rain, where it starts out and you're like, weird, but I give it to, what was it, 2002, 2001 when it came out or whatever like that. I'd give it. I'd give you the benefit of the doubt when it comes to controls and all the bullshit. Your early PlayStation 2 title, cool, but like, you kind of, it overstayed its welcome, and it also was just like we said. This would have been a good game to play for the weekend, and been like, Blood Rain was pretty cool. That was a cool game, but having to play through the entire game for the podcast, it was like,
I don't know. Yeah, it was tough.
When I have to really sit down and give it my all and really look at it critically, it's like, no, it doesn't pass the test. But if I was playing it for the weekend test, yeah, that's a good ass weekend game right there.
Yeah, we're learning. This is our fourth season, which we finished. We're learning that there are games that are better suited for this long form podcast. There's so many games I think sometimes we run into, and it's just like there's not much to talk about. And we're just like, we're already not enjoying the game. It's like, what is there to really break down? It's just like, I mean, we could get really granular, but we didn't even enjoy the thing, to begin with. And I guess the main point is that we don't even know the game's bad until we start playing it, And so we're already like, a couple of hours in. And
I already
like,
posted it on the Discord we're playing in.
Oops.
Sorry, guys.
We're just like, fuck, okay, we gotta fucking come up with what to talk about, and we take notes as we're playing, we're taking, a large amount of notes, and there's some games I'm just like,
look at the paper and I'm like,
I just don't know what to say. Like,
and I don't want to be I don't want to be overly negative when it comes to Back of the Rack. Like, of course, I like to be negative when it comes to certain things I don't like about games, but like, if the entire overall presentation is going to be negative, like, I don't want to make a hit piece about this game, because that defeats the purpose of Back of the Rack. We're here to talk, because obviously it's Back of the Rack for a reason, because everybody's heard of it and hated it, or no one's heard of it, you know what I'm saying, or no one's heard of it and loved. So it's like, this game is here for a reason, and we have to understand, and understanding that it's here for a reason and why it's here. And it's gross when you play a game and you immediately understand why it's a BOTR game.
It's both a gift and a curse when we figure that out, when we're like, oh, now we know why no one liked this
that's
shit.
why Alpha Protocol failed. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. But we do it for ourselves and we do it for you guys as
Yeah,
well.
you know what I mean. We'll play through the shit. Thank God y'all didn't see the stolen or the Persona episode. Fuck.
Oh yeah, that was rough. The viewer's choice was a tie between Blood Rain and Dragon Quarter.
Which is wild.
They were
But
like,
I get it.
They were,
I get it though.
yeah.
Shout out
One of
Cade for
our-
being like, I'm bowing out. I'm not playing this one with y'all. I'm bowing out. I can't do this one. I respect it. It's not for everybody. It's not.
No.
And I think that's a little bit of where the charm comes from, but at the same time, I understand why Breath of Fire as a series kind of ethered away after this game is because, like, you drastically changed the art style, the aesthetic. You drastically change the gameplay style. And the gameplay style isn't even, I don't want to say good, but, like, it's not reactive. For the kind of game it is and the increase from going from beautiful pixels, sprite art from the previous Breath of Fire games to this cel-shaded 3D graphics and then changing the battle style, it takes a lot, especially with the roguelike mechanics of restarting the game to get the full party I understand because we were freaking the fuck out trying to start this game, or we're looking up before I play and like giving each other tips and figuring out how to work shit. Like, that's not a fun game. Like, the fuck? No. Like, that's not. I want to just play the RPG, the JRPG, and beat it. Like, but I can't do that with fucking Breath of Fire. You got to restart at least 3 times to beat the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, the overall design is bold for sure for its time. But, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to hit with a lot of players, and I don't think it did. So, our next category is front of the rack. Now, this is the criteria for front of the rack is big budget games that we don't cover. So that really could be almost anything that's just not back of the rack.
Pretty much. That's non-podcast game.
Yeah, not exactly. Yeah. So these are games that we play because obviously we play games outside of the back of the rack stuff, and it's hard to do that. But Sondi gets it done.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I think.
Yeah, you wanna know my secret? My secret is, as soon as we we finish the episode, because we like to do this thing where it's like we're not playing the next game until we finish recording the one game. Once we do the episode that night, we can start the next game. Yeah. I just go in. I gotta beat this game. As I gotta go in on this particular game. Once I finish this game, all right, I'm good. Like, then I could go back to cooling, because I know you're gonna take 3 fucking weeks. So
yeah, I have a severe case of ADHD and can't focus on one thing for too long before I start to fucking get bored or whatever. Yeah, what are your picks for front of the rack?
We were talking about this before we started recording, because I had Dragon's Dogma 2 on here. But then I was thinking about it because, I played Metaphor, I've played Persona 3, and I've kind of fallen down on like a lot of those games that I played this year, except for 2 games. Sonic Shadow Generations, but that's mainly because not the Sonic Generations part, the Shadows part. That's probably like the best Sonic game I've ever played. Ever. Like, it's that good. Like, it's damn near perfect. It's like, wow, this is just make this again and again. Like, that's how good Shadow Generations is. Just do it with Knuckles, do it with Tails, do it with Sonic. Just do that, but for everybody else, and just do it again. Like, that's all I ask. It's that good. But I have a weird pick for like my actual front of the rack, and it's not. It's an old game. Xanadu Next. Which I was trying to argue to add to the list, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think that game might be... I might even put it up there, top 5 games I've ever played in my life. It's...
What the...
Bro, listen. That game was life-changing. Like, I've never played a game that was so I don't even know how to put it. Like there's a certain melancholy that I like about my games. I like the games that don't hold your hands, that allow you to have freedom, you know. And Xanadu Next allows that. It just goes, hey, you need to go in there and you need to find these slabs, and I'll go and I'll uncover them, I'll unearth them. And it plays kind of sort of like Diablo, over the shoulder, kind of like East. I mean, it's the same developers as East. And you just go in the dungeon, you just kill some shit, and then with each weapon that you have, they each have a weapon skill. And then once you max out the weapon skill, you learn that skill permanently. So there's like a cathartic grind of there's not like a random weapon wheel RNG or anything like that. It's specific weapons and armor, and then you're leveling up and getting those skills and passives and building your character around there. And you're going through the game like that while trying to go through and find these like weird dungeons and finish puzzles and stuff like that. I just thought it was so relaxing and rewarding for the time that I had. There's a zen state that I went in playing that game, and the lore, the music, the atmosphere, the gameplay, everything. It was just, it's one of them ones, man. It's one of them ones.
That's wild.
It's one of them.
What did you play it on?
It's only on PC, so I played it on PC. And the craziest part is, I found this from a tweet. It was like is there any deals or something like that? I think I followed them on Twitter, and they were like, Xanadu Next is $1.85, and I was like, this looks cool. Because I was thinking I was about to play Fate, and I was like, this looks cool. I'll play this little anime Diablo game. Cool. And fell in love instantly.
Wow. Amazing. Xanadu Next and Sonic Shadow Generations. Go check them out. Wait, when did you play Xanadu Next? Was that earlier this year?
That was like the beginning of the year. That was like February.
That's crazy. I don't.
And there hasn't been anything that's topped that game since. Still, like, that game is amazing.
Okay. I'm going to say that my front of the rack is Stellar Blade. I didn't play that many games this year, to be honest with you. Well, I did, but I didn't finish enough to say that I could choose them, or they were eligible for this. So Stellar Blade is probably the one that I was really surprised with. And I think I talked about it on the podcast with Neb and Com. But I think it does a lot of interesting things with its gameplay, because it's not quite a Souls game, for one. And there's levels. Yeah. And it's because of the camera and how we're now just all conditioned to see Elden Ring, Dark Souls cameras and be like, oh, that's the type of gameplay.
And that's the fucked up part, is because they didn't even invent Z targeting, bro.
Exactly. No, I remember it was in Zelda games. Yeah. I remember, that Alice Madness Returns had like a very...
That's a standard lock-on camera for third-person action games, but it's just now just Souls.
Yeah. The strafing and all that. But anyways, so I thought the game was a surprise hit to me. I thought it was going to be far more, I don't know, generic. But they did some very inventive stuff. And like, I'm still in shock that there was like a whole like horror themed level where you don't have your weapons, there's no melee, and you're just doing long range. It was just really cool. That's like, it was so just out of like, no one's really doing this, and I just really liked it. I did struggle with the end boss, and it made me like the game a little less, because I spent like 2 weeks trying to fucking fight this thing and had to drop it down to easy difficulty.
This nigga play on easy.
Because I was like, fuck this, man. This is taking so long. I was like, you know what?
Can I tell you a secret? I went to easy on Dragon's Dogma towards the end, too.
Wow. Did I? If you went uneasy, did I?
There was like a point where I kept dying to like a Hydra or some shit, and I was like, man, fuck this. I'm going to easy.
On Dragon's Dogma 2 or the Dragon's Dogma?
On both.
Wait a second. What? Did I do that? I don't think I did. I spent 70 hours in that game. I think I straight up, yeah.
Dugged it out.
But I could see it. I could definitely see it. Yeah, so my second or my honorable mention is probably going to be Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't know if I played. I can't find record of it, but I don't know if I played Crow Country this year or last year.
It was this year. Crow Country came out this year.
This year? Okay,
Yeah,
so then
bro,
that's definitely my runner-up. Yeah, because I was looking at the PSN page and it didn't say the date on it for some reason. I couldn't find it, and so I looked at the bottom to see like the copyright and it said 2023. So I was like, oh wait, did it come out 2023? I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
maybe.
I'm pretty sure it was released officially like January or something, right? Didn't it come out early in the year?
Yeah. It was early because I think Elisa dropped like around the same time. Because I told
Yeah.
myself, because I played Signalis instead of playing Crow Country, because I was like, I can't play Crow Country till I play Signalis, because I've been holding off on Signalis. I got to play Crow Country. I got to play that to play Crow Country. I wish I played Crow Country.
Crow Country is so cool, and that game just ticks every nostalgic vibe that you could imagine, but wrapped around a sort of modern, with like modern sensibilities. It's really good. I actually want to replay it just because I had such a fun time with it, exploring the levels. It's cool. It's really good. And then I also want to give another shout out to a game called Wayfinder, that is essentially third person Diablo, and mixed with Fortnite and League of Legends graphics. That's pretty much what.
That's such a great analogy for like that style.
Yeah, because it's not quite Fortnite, but it's not quite League of Legends.
Yeah,
it's like a mix. But yeah, it's really really good. I was actually, I was recommending it to you because it was just so up our alley. I would think. But yeah, those are the games that I'm going to recommend. I wanted to say Silent Hill 2 remake, but the game spooked me so bad I couldn't finish it. So
I'm a bitch.
That's it. Yeah, I'm a bitch. So I mean,
yeah. I'll
these
give a
things
shout
happen
out to,
as you get older.
I'll give a shout out to Metaphor, just because.
Not even P3P reload.
I'll give a shout out to P3 over Metaphor. I'll give a shout out to P3 over Metaphor.
Which one's the better Atlas game this year?
I think I'm Atlas out. I think that's what it is, bro. Because I'm realizing that like I think this was like the coalition. Both of these games made me realize that Atlas is never going to make anything original ever again. They're just going to make the same shit over and over again. In terms of gameplay, story, writing, graphics, of course they're going to be top tier. They're going to be the best, whatever. But like,
right.
In terms of trying something new, like, give me a combo, nigga. Like, let me not have to do these turn-based battles. Why has it got to be press turn every time? Why do I have to do these? I digress.
Yeah.
Banned from the front of the rack.
Well, I think playing 2 Atlas games in a year
jaded my impressions. Yeah. Except if I played one or the other, I probably would have been like, yo, Metaphor is my game front of the rack. But
yeah, maybe. But you had just beaten, and you like binged both of them
in a week. I binged both of them in a week. So
that's like
take your time, niggas.
Record for an Atlas game.
Take your time, niggas. When you play these games, take your time.
Take your time. Enjoy it.
Enjoy
Let
it.
Savor it.
Don't even play it the same day. Don't do like me and be like, oh, because see, there's a thing that you can do with these games where you just get locked in and it's like, oh, I'll just knock out my days or whatever the fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a doctor, Sondi. I don't have.
Are you saying I have a problem?
I'm not a doctor. I don't have my my medical degree or anything like that. But I do want to point out 2 curious things, my nigga. So you are into Sonic, and you hyperfixate on these games. maybe you're a little. Maybe you're on the. I don't want to give you the diagnosis, but maybe you should look into how.
I don't want to tell you what I put for front of the rack for the first season. Because it was another Sonic game.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm noticing
by the way,
a pattern.
I saw Sonic Frontiers for sale. I think for like 20. Is that a good deal?
That's a great deal. That is an excellent deal.
All right. I was just thinking of picking it up so I could send you a picture of me with the lighter and the copy. And show
That's
you
wild.
the-
That's wild. At least play it. At least play it.
At least pop the disc in. At least.
At least run around the open world as Sonic and be like, wow, this is cool. That's why it was cool. It was just running around as Sonic, bro. Just
I'll have to. Yeah. I mean, I did like Sonic Adventure. I am a Sonic Adventure fan.
then
But,
you would enjoy running around as Sonic and collecting
yeah,
shit.
I can believe it. I can believe it. But I'm just not autistic. And I stand by that.
I don't know, nigga. I mean,
As with my hyperfixation of CRT TVs here.
I'm about to say, I'm looking behind you.
So anyways, the next category is, oh wait.
Yeah.
Did they not pick, the viewer's choice didn't pick
Oh, in front of the rack. See, the way it works is
so much energy.
the first year I did the Google forms and like people could write in what they put for front of the rack.
Oh, I see.
But I didn't do that this year, and I wasn't gonna be like type in the Discord, whichever. No, just
Yeah. Okay.
comment below.
We'll say that.
Comment in the video
Why don't
what
we-
your front
let's-
of the rack is,
let's-
guys. What was your front of the rack game that you played? Comment below.
Also, why don't we take a guess? What do we think that is the front of the rack for the viewers? What's
I
the
got
best
you.
game people played?
I
this
got
year,
you. I don't even know what the fuck came out this year. I'm not gonna lie to you. Metaphors definitely gonna be a couple.
I feel like I could. Yeah, the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC. That's what people's front of the rack was.
I don't know, bro. Animal Well, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy came out.
Oh, Rebirth.
Wukong came
Yeah.
out.
Oh, I still haven't played that.
Yeah, man.
Wukong, Rebirth.
Sparking Zero, I guess. Maybe somebody. I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know what our viewers generally play, so I don't have any idea. All
Princess
12 of them?
Peach,
No clue.
Showtime. Last of Us 2 Part 2
Maybe.
Remastered. Dawn Trail.
Maybe.
Suicide Squad. Visions of Mana. BOTR.
Visions of Mana? Oh, I forgot to tell you that I started Trials of Mana.
Pretty good game.
It's good, but I didn't.
Turn-
I was like,
Turn
I
your
was
brain off
using
and
it
just
as
play
like
that
a-
shit.
I was using it as a buffer while something else was downloading,
Oof.
namely Wayfinder. But I was like, shit, this is actually good. I was like, I'm gonna have to come back and beat
No,
this.
yeah. I did the same thing where I was like, I'm just gonna play this shit, whatever the fuck this is. And then I was like, oh,
Right.
I'm kind of locked in.
Very
I
cool.
chose the like beast guy for the fist, and I was like, oh, I'm locked in now. I gotta keep playing
Yeah.
this.
All right. The next category, the Replay Award, a game that we would want to replay or explore a future entry of. Sondi, your pick?
I chose Dissidia. Mainly because not for Dissidia 2, but for Dissidia NT. I want to try that. I want to try it out. I want to see what the NT is talking about. I still got it in the plastic. Haven't played it at all.
I'm curious about the second Dissidia, Duodecim.
That's technically
Curious
a
about
prequel
that one.
from the research I did during the first episode. So I mean, that would be interesting.
It makes me wonder like what they improved on from the first game, if anything at all.
Yeah.
My pick for the Replay Award is Alpha Protocol. Because it has a high replayability
Yeah,
value.
I want to run it back as a different nigga. I want to see what changed. I want to see what things I didn't know that I would see in the second playthrough.
Based on how, like, I want to play it as a complete asshole, just one round.
Yes, I just want to go complete, like, kill everybody, scorch earth.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Or will there be more bridges that open up?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I like your style. I like how much of an ass you are. Let me offer you all my discounts and weapons or something. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. The viewers chose Dragon's Dogma. which I understand. But
I can see that.
I don't think I want to replay through Dragon's Dogma anytime soon. Playing
Well,
Dragon's
we played
Dogma
2
into
this year.
Dragon's Dogma into Dragon's Dogma 2, I think I'm good for another 5 years or so.
5 years. Fair. That's
Gotta let it breathe.
Dragon's Dogma has the great replayability because of the Wayfinder class, or what is it called? Wayfarer or something. There's a
in Dragon's
class
Dogma
that you
2?
get after.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Doesn't the first game also let you blend classes or something in the beginning?
Yeah, well, they have the hybrid classes because there's like 9 classes. So technically, in Dragon's Dogma,
Yeah.
you could play it completely different. That's why I chose Magic Knight or whatever. I was like, yo, this is cool. Next time I could play as a warrior or a mage or a ranger. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, they have the vacation system. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. That's a fair choice. Do you want to do the Back of the Rack of the Year award first and then the viewers, or do you want to do the viewers and then ours?
All right. Let's do viewers' choice and then we can go into Back of the Rack of the Year.
Okay. So the viewers' choice awards for the Back of the Rack of the Year is
a tie. Unprecedented.
They're so mixed between Alpha Protocol and Dragon's Dogma.
Crazy picks.
Those are solid picks. Crazy picks for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so the Back of the Rack of the Year. Sondi, you and me talked a little bit about what the Back of the Rack of the Year meant and what we had chosen, and we really were kind of all over the place with what we wanted to choose. What we ended up settling on as far as what Back of the Rack means is the Back of the Rack of the Year award goes to a game that exemplifies everything that is back of the rack. So if, let's say this season we had to recommend one game from this list, it would be this game. So that's the criteria that we're going for. And Sondi, you have yours. I still have to think of mine. So go ahead, nigga.
Nigga, I thought you had yours.
Yeah, go, nigga. Go.
Okay. So
He's just stressing out about it.
It's not like other years where there's like a immediate pick. Like first year, Final Fantasy 12, easy choice. Final Fantasy at the time was my first Final Fantasy, so it was
such a great game.
I still look at that fondly. Like there's nostalgia for each of my Back of the Rack of the Year. Then Fear Effect. Fear Effect was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a forte that I didn't expect to go into, that I was really fell in love with. I liked the puzzles, I liked the story, I liked the concept and the technical prowess that game brought. 4-disc, that's crazy. Then last year, Musashi Samurai Legends. I have to agree with you. It's top 20 all time for me. It might be low-key top 10. Like I agree. It's a very good game in terms of aesthetics, music, gameplay, everything. It's just a great game. This year, this Willa D year.
Is that why you wore that?
That's why I wore that.
That's genius. I didn't even catch that. That's so good.
I had to point that out before nobody getting my credit.
You goddamn genius. You're a goddamn genius.
In this season of the D, there isn't one that sticks out in terms of like that's Back of the Rack, because we talked about this before, where it was like Dragon's Dogma and technically isn't even Back of the Rack. Like if Dragon's Dogma 2 wasn't coming out, then yes, Dragon's Dogma's Back of the Rack. But like because it just had a contentious like sequel that just released at the same time we were doing the episode, kind of felt like it literally was not it wasn't intentional. It didn't feel like, I don't want to say that we chose it.
It's leagues above any of the other games,
Right. Like obvious choice is Dragon's Dogma. But and I can't choose Alpha Protocol because I can't choose it just off the story, because I hated the gameplay of Alpha Protocol. Right. I didn't like the lockpicking, everything that came along with Alpha Protocol when it came to gameplay wise. Death by Degrees isn't a good game, but it's a good game if you don't got a bitch in your ear telling you it's a bad game. If you just playing Death by Degrees, like when I was playing it, I was like, bro, this shit just fun as hell, bro. Like I'm just kicking niggas. Like, this is cool. Dissidia, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Dissidia was very close to being my band from the rag pick. And
Same.
it's only because the framework and the style of Dissidia does not work when we do it in these long binge for the situations that we play back of the rack on. Like,
yeah, Dissidia is a weekend game.
yeah. For example, a game that we're going to be playing next season that's also on this same system. It's easier to play through that, have long sessions of playing that, because it's a story. It's a role-playing game. And this game is, Dissidia is a role-playing game, but it's also a fighting game. And imagine, that's why we don't have a lot of fighting games on the list, is because it's like, for example, Tatsunoko versus Capcom. It's like, yeah, that is a BOTR game, but how much can we really get out of this? And Dissidia, it's hard to get a lot out of it because of the style that you have to play it and how we played it. Like, usually that like it was meant for the back of the bus, back of the car seat. I'm riding over to Auntie Julie's house or whatever, and I'm playing Dissidia while they gossip my mom and my aunt. That's the game Dissidia is made for. I'm playing with my cousin. We're playing ad hoc. All right, bet. Now I'm leaving. It's not meant for how we played it, so I gotta give it that. Blood Rain, the fuck out of here. So it's just gotta defaultly go. Dark Sector. Calling audible. It's going to Dark Sector. It's going to Dark Sector.
That's my pick too. I'm going with Dark Sector as my pick.
I have Dragon Quarter written here, but it's going to Dark Sector. My heart tells me.
Yeah, after much deliberation, you and me went over sort of what we had said in that podcast, and even though Dragon Quarter doesn't fit our visual sensibilities, it really is it was the most enjoyably game that we played. Like, it was the most enjoyable overall, I think.
Right.
You know, it was quick. It was the gameplay was good enough. You can understand why it is a BOTR title because it's not extraordinary in any way.
Right.
You know, but it has a cool gimmick, which was the glaive, you know.
Exactly. And you get to do your stuff, you get to hang out, you get to cut people up, you get to become a warframe at the end of it. Like, it's cool. It's genuinely pretty cool. It's just dated now a little bit. I hate to say that games age, because I want to break the stigma that games age poorly. And it's more so that just the design and standardization of the game wasn't there yet to make it feel as good. It was an early PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 game, so you know it's got a little jank to it, but you know
it does. Yeah, but I think that it really is, like, if I'm gonna recommend the best BOTR game for this season to somebody, and that's what this award is, right? Like, the best one, I would feel the most comfortable with Dark Sector.
Yes,
feel like it's
play it on PC
sure
too,
it might be,
so you can have most controls and not 20 frames a second like we had with fucking PS3 and shit, but.
You know, and really it is sort of a game that you could see any other podcast, any other person, any other gaming YouTuber be like, oh, it's mid, it's whatever. But obviously this is back of the rack. We deal with the bottom of the barrel a lot of the time.
Yeah, we're not playing classics. I mean, there's some classics on the list, quote unquote, but it's not like, but they're also classics to weirdos and nerds like us. Like, there's certain games that it's like, that's obscure, but it's obscure to the normal layman's, like, right. But to us, like, Spectrobes Origin is like whatever, you know what I mean? Mad World is whatever, but like to the layman's, it's like, what the fuck, like, what the hell is that, you know?
Yeah. So that's my pick as well, and Dark Sector takes it, which It's funny because it feels like a surprise even to us because we
okay,
talked about it a little bit.
Dragon Quarter, it should win. Like, that should be my pick. It's the game that I grew up on. I saw it at the store all the time. I picked it up. I barely played it. I always saw it. I always heard about it. I've always wanted to play it. I've always had it on my shelf, but I was never interested in playing it because I was afraid. I was intimidated by it. Mm-hmm. And I feel that a lot of people are intimidated by Dragon Quarter. A lot of people are scared to play it because when you hear about it, you're like, oh, it's got roguelike elements, and you got to restart, and you got to grind, and you got to do this, and you're not going to unlock this unless you restart so you can get to this pathway. Like, it sounds weird as fuck. But when you play it, it's pretty basic. It's pretty chill. It's kind of I wouldn't even say it's like a roguelike or roguelite or anything of the sorts. I would say it's more so New Game Plus as a mechanic, and I mentioned that during the episode that it's more so just gamifying New Game Plus, where it's like, okay, you're just doing it now instead of getting to the new game and beating the game. You're just going to do it now, and it's a hard concept. It's a hard sell. It's a very, very hard sell for the average person to hop into this game that already has weird combat in general. Because you got the out of combat and the in combat. It's just weird as fuck. But if you can get through that and you can get through and continue on, there is a magical game there. There is a good game there. In my opinion, there is a good game, and it has a purpose. Like, if you were to have this on your shelf and you were to say it to people and they say, hey, give me an underrated JRPG or give me a PlayStation 2 game that nobody's heard of or something of the sorts like that. If you want to be a Praetorian and, an aficionado of obscure games that look cool as hell, Dragon Quarter is the one that you would choose. But for the uninitiated, the unweirdos, Dark Sector is the one that you should go for.
Right. I think I would feel comfortable with Dark Sector, like, representing what BOTR means, I would say.
Exactly. Look at the echelon of the other winners that are on the list for Back of the Rack of the Year. Final Fantasy 12. It's another weirdo, but it's accessible, and it's a Final Fantasy game. So you're going to just get it off osmosis. Then we have Fear Effect and Chorokyu, which both of those games kind of are like Back of the Rack as fuck. Like, it's like Chorokyu. It's a car RPG. Then you have a full motion video survival horror fixed camera ass game. And then you got Masashi Samurai Legend over here. Like, you have like some, like, if you put all of those and had like an all-star season, like that is an all-star season. And I would include Dark Sector in that all-star season. It fits. It fits right up there with them. Dragon Quarter? I don't know about that.
I mean, it's BOTR to a degree, right? Obviously, but like, if some nigga came up to me with a gun to my head and he's like, you have to replay one of these right now, and I'm just like, okay, fuck, my mind would go to Dark Sector because it's like it's the easiest one, the most enjoyable overall.
Yes.
Right. There was never a moment where I was like,
sick of this shit.
Yeah. It doesn't have that, and it was, inventive. It was fun. I think, like, we'll go watch our podcast on it, just rewatch it and see how we feel about it. Obviously we had criticisms, but I think overall we were happy with it, and it was what it was, Right. Everything else, there's just too many.
There's so many
factors.
Like
this was too many factors. This was a hard season to choose. Very hard. And I think in our future, award shows, and when we're choosing, for seasons, we might want to stay away from a game like Dragon's Dogma just because it gets so exempt, Like, I don't like the fact that I couldn't choose Dragon's Dogma because it feels too easy. Like, there shouldn't be a game like
right.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Where it's like we felt that it was too mainstream, and that wasn't because we chose Dragon's Dogma before Dragon's Dogma 2 was got a release date. So it was kind of like
so it felt
like,
more appropriate. Yeah,
it kind of just Dragon's Dogma 2 just so happened to coincide with us deciding to play Dragon's Dogma 1. And it just so happened to be one of the biggest games of the year or of the quarter or whatever the fuck. So it's just kind of like it's a day. It's a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you. Cuz like last year, No More Heroes should have won by terms of popularity and all finagling and bullshit. I mean, it did win the Viewer's Choice Award, but it's not the soul of Back of the Rack. It's the soul of me.
Right.
You can pull that out of me. But in terms of like the idea of Back of the Rack, it's not that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Niggas know No More Heroes. They got 5 fucking games. So they're like
exactly, yeah. It's,
or 4,
it's, you know. And it might be like, you know, because we always like to choose the worst one in a series, you know. And I don't know, is the first one, was that like the most least liked one?
It's honestly 2 is the least liked one, I guess, nowadays.
Oh.
And that's why I was kind of like, I felt like we did an error. But it's like, you got to play through No More Heroes 1 to understand the story. Like, after we beat No More Heroes, I played through the rest of the No More Heroes series, and they all feel better in terms of gameplay, but like, yeah, they all rely on you being like a No More Heroes super fan narc.
Oh. Okay.
In order to understand the story and where it's going and stuff like that. Like, you need to be a Suda 51 nigga. Even the Travis Strikes Back, which I would also say is kind of boater, low key, because it's the weirdest one out of them. I'd say that one would be the most boater, but like, there's callbacks to fucking Killer 7 and Shadow of the Damned and the Silver Case. Like, it's just going all the way, like the wrestling games that Suda 51 made. Like, it goes all the way back in his catalog. It is like imagine if Miyamoto made a like game and it was just every Miyamoto game reference like that. You would not and you didn't understand it. You'd be like, what the fuck is this Famicom Detective Club? I don't know what the fuck that is, you know.
I don't know. I think I'm comfortable with this choice.
I'm very comfortable with Dark
and
Sector.
I'm very curious to see how you guys will react to this. You know?
That's an audible, because it didn't win not a damn award, bro. And I think about
you know, like, and that's sort of what's funny is that all these other games excelled in these areas, you know, but I feel like
overall package wise,
Dark Sector just I'm happy about this.
Honestly, I would also go with Death by Degrees as an honorable mention.
Yes, honorable mention would definitely be DBD. Yes,
not Dead by Daylight.
Right. Not to be confused with, but that's it. That is the 4th annual Back of the Rack Awards with your host Sondi and Bendez. We hope to see you in the new year. We got one last special treat for you guys. Before we show you that, remember to go check out the BOTR Radio video or mix. Yeah, be sure to give us your thoughts on that. But without further ado, here is Season 5.
Here we go.